Hey guys, it's KJ from the Scariest Movie Ever. I have a question for you. If you believe in God, our Heavenly Father, the creator of everything, well then you have to believe that He created this entire reality, all of this. Now of course, we get to make decisions. We have a free will. That's what keeps it interesting. But it's all playing out. And He gave us a book, He gave us the Bible, and we know that there's things that are going to be happening in the end chapter that are going to be mirroring again here in our reality. What happens in the physical is manifesting in the spiritual, if you will. So we're seeing a lot of these end times things playing out right now from revelations all around us. What's important about that is that we know that this book, if you will, is almost done. But what lies beyond? What's coming next? We have a little bit of an idea. We know that Jesus is going to reign on the earth. There'll be 1,000 years. But we don't know a lot about what it's going to look like or what it's going to be like. So me bringing all this up, there's a purpose. And that purpose is because I believe that as this book is about to end, as this final chapter in human history is about to close, that amazing things are happening. And some of those amazing things that are happening is that we're seeing these manifestations all around us in our reality, in our world, that are kind of hinting at, if not just punching us right in the face and telling us that we're in that season, we're in the end times, and it's all about to end. So with that being said, I believe we're starting to see signs of the ancient gods returning, if you will. Check this out. We've seen signs in the sun. We're seeing signs around the moon. There's also been plenty of signs in the stars, in the galaxy. And something else that we're seeing an increase in is UFO activity, particularly these types of UFOs, these orbs. We also see the pyramid type we hear a lot about, but it's my belief that most of those are something to do with government, usually like black ops type projects or whatever. But these things here seem to be much more organic. Some of them even made out of energy. It's very interesting. It's been my belief for a very long time that these right here come from the fallen angel spirits. It's all part of a deception. So if we're going to believe that God, the creator, really did create all of this, and he even created an end to this story that we're all playing a part of right now, then to me, it would only make sense that he starts sending us out signals, giving us clues that all this is about to end, that the chapter is closing. These are some of the things I'm showing you. These are some of the things I see. This is an example right here as well. I've actually done a few videos on this in the past, but oftentimes I believe that we can get signals, if you will, of things to come through even the clouds. This was reported as a very strange cloud formation over Panama City, Florida. It made big news there for a couple of days because they're not used to things like this. Of course, they try to explain it away, but to me this is more something from the spiritual realms warning us of something to come. And if you haven't heard of this danger of tsunamis, plenty of people are having dreams and visions over the last several years concerning this, specifically the East Coast, New York, even down in Florida. And there's also talk of that on the West Coast, but of course there's more happening out there. We're looking more at earthquakes out there. So all this being said, there's even more clouds. Let me show you some more here. And then, of course, right around the same time, this is all from a few years ago, we had all these clouds show up around Alabama, and they look like enormous tsunami waves. There's one more connection I found. Over the last few years, there's also been a rash of clouds that look like atomic blasts and nuclear explosions. So you can check that out as well. There is one in Guam I know of, there's one in the Netherlands, and I've seen several others. So I believe that these are messages. I believe these are things that are being sent. We know that when the Earth was first destroyed, it was destroyed by water, and we know that this time around it's going to be destroyed by fire. So I think it would make sense we're seeing more and more of these interesting cloud formations that look like nuclear explosions. We've also seen an increase in wildfires, train crashes, plane crashes, sinkholes, meteors and comets, water turning blood red. In the movie The Immortals, Poseidon takes his trident and dives to the earth. Trident symbolism has been showing up quite a bit over the last year especially. Here's Loki from the Thor movies holding his trident. And this is from Clash of the Titans. Percy Jackson, Sea of Monsters. And this is from Percy Jackson Part 2. I wanna wish you a happy birthday. I wanna wish you a happy birthday. I wanna wish you a happy birthday. A happy birthday to you. Maserati also has a trident. Now normally that might not really be that significant, but in this case it is. They released a commercial during the Super Bowl you should go check out that certainly has a very ominous message and gives across the message that there is a group of people lying in wait ready to strike, and they will, and it's coming soon. So check that one out for yourself, but definitely significant with that trident in Maserati. The trident is actually the emblem for the Ukraine, and the Ukraine's a hotspot right now as far as world politics go and World War III goes. There's a lot happening out there. The rabbit hole here goes much deeper. Remember the Malaysian flight that went missing and no one's found it yet? Well, the emblem for that airline is actually a trident as well. You can see it right there on the tail end. And if that wasn't enough, there was even some symbolic language to do with tridents in the latest Superman Man of Steel movie. At one point they actually send down these spaceships that look like tridents, and one of the areas that one of these trident spaceships is going down in is actually the same area that the Malaysian flight went missing. And here's another example. I actually covered this not long ago myself. It was very interesting. This mysterious statue of Apollo actually washed ashore. And even more interesting is the fact that he's missing one eye. Something to take note of is that in Islam they speak of a Dajjal, which will be an Antichrist, and that Antichrist will have one eye. We hear about this one eye quite often when it comes to Antichrist type figures. Even with the Illuminati, of course, we know one eye is significant all the way back to Horus. Kali is a Hindu goddess of destruction and death. She's often represented as a, quote, black goddess, or at least black in color, signifying her all-embracing nature, as the color black absorbs all colors and dissolves them. She's a destroyer. Of course, there's always different meanings with symbolic language. Many people believe that Miley Cyrus has been doing this tongue thing here lately, representing the dead sheep, which could definitely be true. But another example could be that she's representing Kali, the goddess's return. And then there's Isis, mother of Horus, an ancient Egyptian goddess. Where else have you heard Isis lately? That's right. ISIS. They say it means Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. ISIS. But ISIS has other meanings as well. These are the new boogeymen. This is the new boogeyman group. This is the new monster under the bed. Isis. The goddess's return. We see plenty of goddesses in Hollywood. This is Rihanna's Isis tattoo. These Illuminati tools, if you will, are used many times to push forward, of course, an agenda. an occult agenda. And oftentimes coming out of Hollywood and with a lot of our major artists in music, we're seeing a lot of this goddess worship pushed forward. So it should be no surprise that we find a tattoo of Isis on one of the Illuminati's modern-day goddesses. Please understand that everything I'm showing you are glimpses. They're pieces of the bigger puzzle. I do believe that we can see these things manifest around us as a spiritual language, or even God working in metaphors, if you will. And as far as the, quote, ancient gods returning, am I saying these things are going to be here walking on the earth? No. I don't really know how it's all going to play out, but I know that those patterns are there, those symbols are there, and that message is there. And we can interpret it all different kinds of ways, even with Leviathan. The pit opening up is one way to see that. Okay, or the rise of the Antichrist, the rise of evil on the earth, or even the beast rising from the sea. So it plays out in many different ways. Like I said, it's not just one interpretation. I think sometimes it can be many. But the whole point of it all, and the whole reason to really investigate these things and put these pieces together, is so that people can be ready, so that people can be prepared. It makes me think about what's the meaning of life. I mean, everyone has their own viewpoint on it. I'll tell you mine. God knew us before we were born. So that being said, we're all a little piece of God. Doesn't mean we're all our own individual gods, but we're all connected to the Creator and to each other. So the way I've always seen life is this, that it's about getting down here and it's about remembering where we came from. When we open our eyes into this world, we close our eyes to the spiritual. I think that's what life is realizing where you came from. And then secondly, once you realize where you came from, trying to help all the other ones realize it too. It's important for us to remember where we came from so we can tell the others. And then once you realize where you came from, you can fulfill your destiny. And one destiny I believe we all share is we're supposed to be helping each other. We're supposed to be helping each other remember where we came from.